So it'd be like super cool metal music and be like Jason's podcast.
What's up, everyone? We're here with Brittney Slays from Unleash the Archers.
Hi.
How you doing, Brittney?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for taking this next hour or so to hang out with myself and Chad. So,
no problemo.
Yeah, you're our little experiment to see how this goes and how well we do. So
awesome.
You're ready for that. Cool. All right, man. So let's start this off. Just, how's your day been? Yeah, let's start from the beginning.
Pretty good, I guess. Yeah. I went to the gym.
Cool.
So hard to do that.
Yeah. You can tell by my cheeks how often I go to the gym. So it's okay.
It's like finding the motivation to go. That's the hard part. Once you're in there, it's like awesome. And I always have a lot of fun. But like, getting there is the worst.
Yeah.
So.
Man, and I feel that when I was going, the few times I have, once you get into the swing of it, it's great. Like once I'm in that rotation and that routine, I got it.
Yeah.
But the second I fall out of it, it's game over for me.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm currently at right now is game over.
Is game over mode.
Yeah.
Getting on the road, it doesn't help with that either, because then you totally throws off your routine.
Yes, traveling in general throws off your routine. It's the worst. I don't think I'll ever be able to be one of those kind of people that is like books a hotel that has a gym and will go to the gym in a hotel. I just can't.
The last Prime tour, there was one gym with a hotel, and I was like, oh hell yeah! But then I was like, but what's one day? Fuck it. So I don't know. I've noticed Grant does though. On your last European tour, that fool was just posting like, oh, I went for a run today. I'm like, you know what, man? Good for you. I actually, I am proud of guys like that because I can't do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I know.
I like to go see the sights and stuff when if we have time before a show. I like to do a little bit of sightseeing, and just because I do a lot of management for the band as well. Most of the time I have so much shit to do that I like. If it's okay, so I got 3 hours before I have to get ready, and 2 of those hours I would like to go see this cool city, and the other hour is like sitting there on the, doing emails or interviews or whatever. So it's I just I don't get
video podcasts, right?
Yeah. I don't beat myself up if I can't work out on tour because I just work really hard on stage anyways. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you eat better than I do, so that helps a lot.
I try. I'm a total sweet tooth though, as I'm sure a lot of people know when I'm like calling for Sour Patch Kids.
Right. I'm a savory guy. I'm not too into sweets, but that doesn't mean, I like my energy drinks for sure. So that doesn't help me.
No. Yeah. I do the half energy, half juice ones. Those I like. Yeah.
Okay. I got
acidy.
Organic. So obviously it's good for me because it's organic.
Right.
So, right. If it's natural, it's healthy. So
gotta watch out for that though. A lot of times people just put it on the label and it doesn't actually mean anything.
Oh yeah, because people like me are like, oh well, they wouldn't fucking buy it. So.
Oh look, the can is green. It must be good for the environment.
Yeah, it looks like wood, so it must be natural.
Oh, marketing. Is that Rockstar too? Like,
I'm an organic rockstar, man.
I think they do anything organic over there.
Yeah. Really, I bought it because it was on sale. So
the old 2 for $3.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which in American money, that's like 50 cents. So.
For us?
No, for us.
What? I don't understand.
It was a money joke.
It's $1.50 for you guys because you're in America. I don't understand. For us, it's like $6.
Speaking of which, we took our first trip to Canada a couple months ago. That was my first time in the country, and I spent what I thought was a lot of money, and then a week later I checked my bank account, and I was happy to see that it was as much as I expected.
Nope, not nearly as much. About 30%, actually. Maybe more, about 34% right now, but
Pretty
back
great.
when you guys were here, it was 30%. Yeah.
Remember,
Oh, it is
remember
really
when
nice.
remember when I was talking to you because I wanted to buy some Archer's shirts, and I was like, Brittney, I love you, but what the hell is up with these prices? And then I actually bought them, and I looked at my bank account. I was like, oh yeah, because she's Canadian. So
Yeah.
I often forget, and I
that
like
money sucks. Yeah. So a lot of times, like I'll have people ordering from Europe or whatever, and it'll be like $38 for shipping, and I'm like, yeah, but that's actually like $19 to you guys over in Europe. So I was like, so just go for it, okay?
Yeah, trust us. We're not. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna sort of we're gonna start in the present, and then we're gonna go to the past.
Oh, the past.
Okay? Yes. We're gonna go really far back to the past. Okay. But first, let's start with most recent news. How is Apex doing? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Apex. Okay. So for me, because I'm sure the more hardcore fans already know it, I know it's a concept album, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea what it's about because I'm too lazy to figure it out. So I'm going to let you tell us what the concept is about, how the album's doing, and that's it.
Okay. Well, it's about two main characters, the matriarch and the immortal.
Always have the main character.
Yeah. Well, the immortal is like our protagonist, and the matriarch is our antagonist.
Okay.
And so the matriarch awakens the immortal from his like deep slumber and to use him because he's super powerful and he's immortal and he can do all this badass stuff, and she can't trust a regular human to do what she needs him to do. So she wakes him up and he goes and meets her and is like, what can I do you for? And she says, I need you to go find my sons and kill them. Well, bring them to me so that I can kill them in a ritual to achieve immortality, because she too would like to be all powerful and unstoppable. So he does that. He goes and he gets her 4 sons. And in the album, 4 of the tracks from, what is it? What is it called? I can't even remember the names of the songs. This is like, I'm not even joking. I'm totally having it. Okay.
Chad, this is your job. Find the song titles for us.
I'll go on the internet and I'll find it.
Now, if this was live, people could have helped us out here. Yeah.
Wait, what? They could help? Like, what do you mean? They could like...
So the whole thing is when we do it live, people are going to be able to chat with us, and they'll be involved in the conversation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you'll have to come back and do it.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll bring you back so your fans can help you out with your own album.
You totally just cut out that whole sentence that you said.
That's okay. You'll come back, and then we'll have your fans help you out with your own album.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Anyways, I don't know. 4 of the songs are about 4 of the sons, and then the last 2 tracks are him being betrayed by her because she said that she was going to set him free, and she didn't because she's like, oh, you're kind of useful. And then the last one is him returning back to his mountain, which is like where he hangs out, where he sleeps, because he's immortal and he needs somewhere that won't, fall apart or whatever or be destroyed. So
that's the album cover. A man sleeping on a mountain. Okay.
That's exactly it. Yep.
So my favorite track, 10,000 Against 1. What's that one? What's happening in that time?
That's where he's confronting the 3rd son, who is her like general kind of. He controls all of her armies.
The Dark Army.
No, maybe that's in another universe. No, yeah, and he's just kind of like the general, the commander of all of her armies, and he is just like setting them all to die because he knows his 2 brothers are already dead from False Walls and the other one that I can't remember the name of, and so he knows that the immortal is coming, and he kind of sends all of his armies out to face him, and is like, kill him, save me, or whatever. And the immortal is like, come on, you're gonna kill all of these men just because you're a coward? Like, get out here. And but the kid says no, and he has to destroy the whole army because he can, because he's the immortal.
Because he can.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Okay, so original story, or is this from something?
Nope, original. I don't know where I got it from.
Cool. So is it based in any sort of lore already? Like, where's it taking place, or is this just doesn't matter?
I envision it as a very, very far future Earth, like very far in the future. Yeah, like almost to the point where mankind has kind of gone out to the stars, and what's left behind is almost like starting to devolve. And so there's like a lot of magic, and there's still technology, and so like you can still hop in a spaceship and peace out, but very few people have access to that kind of thing. And
dude, I love stories like that where they mix sort of fantasy with technology. I haven't seen too many, but I always love that concept where they just kind of exist together. It's really cool. So yeah. That's cool. I'm into it.
Yeah, I like that too. I'm a big fan of combining science fiction and fantasy. I think it doesn't happen often because it is really difficult to do. It's kind of like,
I feel like you guys have always kind of done that. Even some of your older album covers have that feel to it. Mm-hmm. Very fantasy, very sci-fi.
Demons of the Astro Waste was the same. Yeah, pretty much. It's like, okay, so we're in the future where, you can travel through the stars, and yet we're having like sword battles on planets. Like, really? Come on. But yes, that is indeed what is occurring.
I'm into it. I like it. Cool. All right. And then the reception's been well. Yes.
Yeah. So far it's been pretty good. It's our first ever album that's been on the Billboard chart. So that was pretty cool. And we're just constantly getting lots of messages from fans and stuff that are even people that are like, oh, I've been listening to it since it came out and I love it. Or like, I just discovered this album and it's amazing, kind of all over the spectrum.
Nice. Do you think, as far as it being the first one on the billboards, now, would you say that the signing with Napalm definitely helped that exposure, or is it just the album itself did it all on its own?
No, for sure. Napalm absolutely helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just get it places that we otherwise wouldn't be able to get it. And there are a lot of publications out there that don't even look at you if you're independent. And so the media coverage has been really good. And then, just kind of like through distribution, they used to use Universal, but I don't know what they use now. So that gets it in like the record stores and stuff. So like
it's in the one here in Sacramento.
Really? Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the albums wouldn't be there if it weren't for them. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Well, great. Cool. So let's backtrack now to the little tiny Brittney Slays. And how did this all begin?
Tiny Brittney Slays. Well,
I'm talking like 9 years, 10 years old. I don't even know. Maybe when did it all begin? When did Brittney say, "Hey, someday I'm gonna be a rock star"?
Well, there is a photo of me when I'm like 7, I think, and our house was kind of weird. Our upstairs fireplace had like this low mantle, so not like a mantle that goes over top of it, but it's a mantle that's underneath. And it's like this huge stone sticking out from the wall. So it's totally a little stage because it's like about 1.5 feet off the ground. And I used to get up there with my dad's like SM57 that he had. And I would be singing on this stage in like my favorite outfit. And there's a photo of me doing that. So from a very early age, I've loved being, loved singing and loved being on the stage. So, It wasn't until I think I was like 8 or 9 when I first heard Megadeth, the Countdown to Extinction. What album was that? Yeah.
5th album, I think. No, 5th or 4th.
I don't know. I heard it on tape. It was cassette tape. We got it from Columbia Music or whatever. That whole buy a CD or buy a tape and get like 10 for a penny or whatever. And I fell in love with heavy metal, and I knew right then that was like I just remember being mesmerized by it, by the music, by the artwork, by everything. And then I'd always been able to sing ever since I was really little. Like my mom picked me up from daycare, and my daycare provider was like, "Holy crap, she's been singing this song all day. Like, she's got perfect pitch, man. You need to do something about this." And well, I don't actually though, because a lot of people don't understand what that actually means. But so my mom put me in choir from a very young age, and yeah, just kind of always been singing. But it was heavy metal that really kind of was the reason why I wanted to be on stage. So, right. But then in high school, I kind of lost my way a little bit, listening to like S Club 7 and Britney Spears and shit. And then
no. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, but it certainly didn't inspire me to be, who I am today. So, but
can then we when imagine?
I discovered
the pop star.
Yeah. Oh my God, no! Oh, weird.
You'd make a lot more money.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, but I'd probably be extremely emotionally fragile, like most of them are these days. Yeah. But yeah, then I heard Iron Maiden when I was like just graduating high school, and that love for metal was rekindled, and then I was just kind of like a metalhead from there on out. So
nice. Yeah. Very cool. All right, so we got Brittney up to high school. She lost her way. Bruce Almighty showed her the way back. Okay. So now, here we are in high school. What was life before Unleash the Archers? Because as long as I've known you as Archers, so what was before that?
Choir.
And then, okay, so what I was going to say is, so take us, if any bands, if not, that's cool. And then up to meeting the guys in Archers, how'd all that begin?
Yeah, so choir was really my main outlet for music. It was that was basically just what I did. And I met Scott in first year, and we started dating, and he was in a band with Braden. Excuse me. And like a bunch of other guys. Two of them I didn't really know. One of them ended up being a roommate of ours when Scott and I moved in together. I think that's it. Yeah. And so, but they were together all through university. So in university, I would go to their shows and like hang out with them. And Scott introduced me to a lot of different kinds of heavy metal, because I was very much like the traditional metal fan, like Maiden, Priest, Megadeth, Metallica, that kind of stuff. So when I started hanging out with him, he introduced me to like metalcore and deathcore and like screaming metal. And I was always like, no, I don't like screaming. And then I don't know, just learned to love it, and became a fan of death metal. And their band was like a melodic death metal band, sort of. It was like in that metalcore kind of really super popular time. So, and then like right around when we graduated, I still had a couple credits to make up. So I went to school over the summer. And he graduated in April, and like right around then their band broke up. And so I really loved Braden, and we got along really well, and we constantly were partying together all the time. And so I called him up pretty much actually like that night when Scott got back. It was like, oh, the band's done. I was like, oh, that's too bad. Boop, 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 boop. And called Braden and asked him if he wanted to do something together. And then I was like, well, obviously Scott will be the drummer. And then we found Zach and Mike on Live Victoria, which is a website over for musicians in Victoria to post like if they're looking for projects, or if they have a project and they're looking for a member or things like that. So, and then that's how Unleash the Archers started. Although I will say I did sing in a symphonic project for about 2 months leading up to that.
Boy. Okay.
And we had one song recorded, and I'm sure that's on a demo somewhere. I don't know where. And we didn't have a name or anything. It was basically like sort of these kind of friends were together, and same thing as what we did with Unleash the Archers is that they found their singer, me, and then another guitar player on Live Victoria, and so we kind of came in later, and they had a few songs written, and I was trying to write to it and stuff, but it wasn't. I mean, it was good. It just wasn't really what I was looking for. So I would jam with them, for about 2 months, and then when Braden and when the Scott's band called it quits, I was like, no, I think I need to start something myself. Something that's what the music that I love to make. So so Braden and I started writing together right away. Like that summer, all summer long, we wrote like 3 or 4 songs together, and then by the fall we had the whole lineup together, and we put that first demo together pretty much right away.
What was the first demo called?
Just Demo 2008.
So Grant wasn't an OG then?
No, only Scott and I.
Was Grant in Dawn of Ages, the video?
Yes, he was the Sasquatch.
Other than that, I knew that. But was he in the band at that time?
Yes. For Demons of the Astro Waste was just the 4 of us. Scott, Braden, myself, and Zach, who was the original bass player. And we had most of it finished and ready to go and done, and we were going to just release it as the 4 of us. And then Grant separated with his band, and we were like, hey, well, why don't you come join Unleash the Archers? And we were literally finishing the the recording, like, when he came over. So we just got him to lay down 2 solos on the album. So his solo is in, I think it's Battle in the Shadow is his, and Daughters of Winterstone is his.
Cool. Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, because when we officially met, like, for the first time in Sacramento, that's just kind of the lineup I have envisioned in my head, obviously. So I just always assumed he was there since the beginning. So
he was pretty early in 2010 or 2011. Yeah. 2011 is when he joined. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's crazy to see how far you guys have come, because I know I've told you this many times, but the way I discovered you guys was actually Stu Block sharing the Dawn of Ages video on his page. So I'm like, well, Stu likes it.
That's how you know.
But I dug it, and more importantly, the video was funny. So maybe not more importantly, but that's what captured me. I was like, I like this video. So
these guys are total dorks.
Yeah, good job for creativity. Hooray. Yeah, and then so it's just cool to see, because then after that, I mean, I knew the song, and then I didn't see anything from you guys for a while, and then I don't remember what brought you back in, but then somehow you and I got to talking, working together, and then you guys came to Sacramento once. I couldn't make it. Somewhere around here, I still have your autograph that you signed for me without knowing it was me.
I think I remember that show.
It was at a place called On the Y, and I had to work that night. So a friend of mine went to the show, and had you sign a napkin for me.
Oh, really? I think we were super late for that.
I think so.
There was forest fires all through Northern California, and so we were forced to detour. What? Yeah, so we were really, really late, but then the venue was really, really nice and everyone was like, what? Like, we waited so long for them to fucking show up. And so the venue was like, okay, fine, you can do your set, but like, we need to be out of here at this time. And so we just cut our set to fit. I think we had like 40 minutes or something before the doors had to be like shut on the bar. And so we just played really quickly, and it was a really awesome show. It's a super cool little venue.
Nice.
But yeah, totally remember that.
Awesome. Cool, man. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, I don't know, it's not really a weird question, but something I'm always interested in. Maybe it's the creative side in me, but I always like to know why people do certain things they do. one of the main things for me is album covers. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to go through each album so far, and just I want you to explain sort of the idea behind the album cover. And then while we do this, Chad's going to pull up each one so people can see it. Because sometimes I look at album covers, not so much your guys's, but, you know, sometimes I'm trying to think I can't even think right now of an album. Sometimes you see like an album cover that's so just weird or there's nothing to it. And I'm like, why did 5 people go, yes, that's it? That's, you know, there has to be something behind it for them to. So let's start with Behold the Devastation. Tell me, where did the idea, what's going on in this album cover?
So that was our first
looking at it right now.
First time working with JP Fournier from over in France. We found him through the Valley of the Damned album cover for Dragon Force. He had done that one, plus a couple Ed Guy covers. And
which Ed Guy? Sorry, not to cut you off.
I can't remember. Honestly, you'd have to Google them. I'll
look it up later. Okay.
Yeah, they're on his like little gallery, I think.
Okay.
And and so we were like, oh yeah, no, this guy's awesome. Like, let's contact him. Let's just see. We were figuring like, oh, he's not going to want to talk to us, little old band from Canada. But he totally was rad about it. And he's like, well, I just wanted to let you know that usually I don't take like suggestions for the first album or whatever. He's like, I just want to just tell me the name of the band, the name of the record, and I'll come up with something. And we were kind of like, oh, that's scary. Like, should we really do this? Like, have no say in it whatsoever?
I would have been a hard no. But
we were just like, you know what? He's done some rad stuff, so let's just give it a shot. And he came up with that cover.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Well, it's all him, huh?
Yeah. And so we were just like, yeah, okay, because we're like, Behold the Devastation. And it's like this weird kraken creature, like devastating an army on a battlefield. We're like, yeah, all right, that works. Cool.
Nice.
Sold.
Okay. Nice. So then that takes us to Demon of the Astro Waste.
Yes. So that title was all Scott.
Nice.
Definitely. We were listening to a lot of Bruce Dickinson's solo project at the time. And there's one song where he says astral waste. And so we were like, oh, that's kind of a cool thought. And then, yeah, just kind of transformed into like the demons, which are for the main character. He's got a lot of demons. And then of the astro waste, which is like, he's a mercenary that just flies around and kind of a scrapper, bit of a black market salesman sort of thing. So it's just kind of flying around crappy space. Anyways, so what we wanted it to be was, again, that whole future past kind of a thing, fantasy meeting science fiction. So he gets tasked by the general of the Dark Army to go to this planet and kind of infiltrate the people down there and do some reconnaissance work for him to figure out, you know, how he can destroy the people so that the general can have all of their. And so it's like this epic battle on this kind of wasteland of a planet, but it's also in space. And so that's what we said to JP. We were like, we want to have like a girl that's like that loves him but is scared of him, and he's like empowered by this sword. That's like kind of an important part that I missed out on. He finds this sword in his like scrapping, and the sword takes over him completely and just drives him to madness. And so it's kind of like he is like enamored with his sword, and she's down there like, oh, I love you, but you're scary. And then the horse is like,
it's like a romance novel, man.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
A romance in future past space.
Of course, it's my favorite kind.
Yeah.
So I don't play with swords either. Yeah, they're dangerous. I like it. Yeah, it's funny. I'm sure this is how most people are, but with the first Helium Prime album cover, I was exactly the same way with the guys. I was like, okay, so I want classic sci-fi. I want this. I want that. I want this and that. Okay, do your thing. And then at the last minute, I was like, oh, if you can throw a dinosaur in there, let's fucking do it. So, so you never know what's going to come back, right? But Yeah. All right. So that brings us to Time Stands Still, our first Nate. Oh, are we counting Defy the Skies?
I don't know. Are we?
We can. I was gonna do the full lengths only, but let's do Defy the Skies. Sorry.
Defy's really easy. We literally were like, oh, we've got this EP. We need to do something. JP, what do you got on the books for like stuff that that matches this album cover? I mean, this album title. And he's like, ooh, how about this one? We were like, yep, bam. I think it was like not even $200 or something. So
nice.
That's where that one came from.
Sometimes it's great when that works out. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now, first Napalm release, major breakthrough for the band, shooting them up to number 1. You know, right there.
I don't know about that.
Time Stands Still at the Iron Hill. What do you got?
So, the album was very much about us as a band struggling independently in Canada, which is, a lot of bands can probably
all I do is struggle,
understand what we were going through. Sorry, right. What was that?
Said all I do is struggle.
Yeah. And when we wrote the record, we weren't signed. We didn't know that we were going to be signed for the album, and so it's all about stories, kind of individual stories of us on the road or whatever. So like the first one, the first song is just kind of like a little bit of a instrumental of us driving through the mountains, kind of a thing. And then Frozen Steel is all about the fans that will come out, like even in a crazy winter storm, which they have done on many an occasion to see us play in Canada. And then like Hail of the Tide is about the ferry ride over back to Victoria, which is our hometown, and how exciting it always is because those shows are always like off the chain, just rad. And then Tonight We Ride is that feeling of just sheer excitement the night before you leave on tour. And just kind of, it's like all that. It's about, just life as a band in Canada.
I like it. I would never be that creative to write about a ferry ride, So good. So that's awesome.
I kind of turned it into like, you fantasy it up a little bit. So it's like we're on this ship and we're like coming to port, coming home from, being out on the water, being out at battle or whatever kind of a thing. And it's like this sweet homecoming. And, but it's also kind of epicness in its, just kind of a little diversion from reality, I suppose.
No, that's still awesome, though, like I said, because I just wouldn't have been creative enough. Again, like I would have been like, how do we turn a ferry awesome? And I couldn't have done it. So good job.
And then Dream Crusher was kind of like one of the singles sort of for us because it was actually the first song that we released as a teaser. We did a little demo version of it. And then right after we released that was when Napalm contacted us and was like, are you doing a new album? Like, you want to hang out with us? And then we were like, oh shit, okay. Yes, we are, but we just released a song. And they're like, yeah, no, that's fine. Like, it wasn't the actual album version, so no big deal. But Dream Crusher is kind of like the heart of that record to me because it's very much about the angst and the anger and the kind of like fed upness that I was feeling at the time. Because it was 2014, we had been working on the record for over a year. We had 3 bass players already by that time. And I was just like, sometimes people can be really crappy on the internet and you just, and there's a lot of,
I know all about it. Yeah.
I mean, bands, I'm not saying that we're good or whatever, but like, when you're doing something unique, people tend to come up to you and they just kind of blow smoke up your ass, like, oh, you guys are awesome, I know this guy and he knows a guy and I could get you signed or I could get you on this sweet tour or I can get you into this studio. And it's like, and like for the first few years or whatever, you believe that shit and you're kind of like, oh my God, so cool, what an awesome opportunity. And then it always turns out to be fucking bullshit. Sorry, excuse my French, but it's just like,
it's all right. They have to pay to hear you cuss.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, I'm tired of listening to other people's bullshit. I want to do what I want to do. And we just really wrote a record that was kind of about saying screw it to the industry, to everyone else, to people's expectations. And we wrote a record for ourselves. And then we decided to do the album cover about that as well, which is kind of basically like Unleash the Archers is that Balrog exploding from the chains of expectation, really, is what it is.
Nice. Okay. Destroying the earth with it, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
And consider it.
I remember.
No, that's fair.
I remember actually when you guys came through Salt Lake, I think it was in 2014, on the big tour you guys were doing through the States. You guys stayed with John Yelland. I came over and had pizza with you guys.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I remember at that time Grant was talking, and you guys didn't even know what you were doing next yet. You had an album. Hopefully some good stuff was going to happen.
Exactly, yeah. Well, we actually, that tour was supposed to be in support of that album. Oh. And then right before we left, Napalm contacted us. And so we were like, well, we can't cancel the tour because we've done all this work. And I felt really bad because quite a few of the promoters were like, what? You're holding back on the album? Like, the whole reason people are going to come see you is so they can get their hands on the album. And so we were kind of like, oh, sorry about that.
Right.
So, but so that's kind of, we didn't want to expect too much because, by that time we had learned to have no expectations meet, because then you don't have any disappointments. So we were just kind of like, yeah, we're talking to Napalm right now and we'll see what happens. So, but then it ended up being great.
No, it's awesome. I love to see how far you guys have come. I mean, I've seen you guys come through Sacramento twice now. Both times I think I played with you, but to like really small, shit places. Mm-hmm. And then it's just cool. I'm just saying, like, and do it yourself tours. And then literally just a couple years later, you're in Europe with Rhapsody of Fire, So good job.
Oh, thank you.
Good for you. See, it's funny. It's the second the band makes the album for themselves, the stick it to the industry, that's suddenly when the industry gets interested.
Right? Yeah, and, that's what
they don't like it when you realize you don't need them.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second, we got you. Come here. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was really funny too, because there's like, it's just like straight up a song on there about how much labels suck, and then I was like, ooh, we're gonna sign to a label. Oops, sorry, we love you.
Which one's that? I'm looking at the set list right now.
No More Heroes.
I was just thinking maybe that's probably that one. Well, if Napalm's listening, she loves you.
I do. I'm sorry that I wrote that song. I'm not sorry. Not sorry.
Right. Cool. Right on. So the album's come out. You're touring. You're living the dream. Living in your mansion. Gold toilet. All that. So, tell me. So I'm curious. These next questions are kind of things I like to know. I like to pick musicians' brains. I mean, I know I do this to you all the time anyways, but it's okay. What kind of live setup is Unleash the Archers rocking these days? Like, what all do you guys use for your live
cut out for a second there. What
live setup is Archers using these days as far as gear?
We are actually totally digital right now. We're going through an XR18, Behringer XR18, and it's rack mount, what is it? It's not specifically for in-ear monitors, but it's like a mixer that allows us to have our own mixes in our ears. So we all plug into that, which then goes through a splitter, and then half of it goes direct to front of house, and then the other half goes to our ears. So we're using that right now, and the boys all just kind of have pedals that they use to plug direct into the XR18, and then Scott, just the only thing that he does though is triggers. So we put a mic on the snare and have his triggers in our ears and listen to that. And
okay.
yeah, so no cabinets, no. Well, Andrew was using an Axe-Fx, and then Grant had a pod, Line 6 pod thingy.
Okay.
But Andrew just bought something else, something new. Can't remember what it was called. He was very excited about it. Comes with its own carrying case. That was
nice.
Very important for touring. So, but yeah, cool. So probably Grant will probably move on to like use the Axe-Fx or something, and then Nico just had like a crazy pedal setup that he had. I don't even know how that worked.
Oh wow. Yeah, Chad and I just moved to Kemper's, no cabinets either, and we love it. In-ears is the next thing for us, so we can have our own mix, kind of like you're saying. But we kind of ran out of money with the Kemper's, so you know.
Yeah, it's we've got like two rack mount cases from Scott Dixon that we have all of our stuff in, and there's probably about $15,000 worth of equipment just in those two little boxes. So it's yeah, we had to save up a lot of money.
Nice. So do you guys play to click tracks or no?
Yes. Well, everything that we have click tracks for, like we specifically wrote Apex knowing that we were going to be playing it with a click track. So, so we had clicks for those. And then Andrew made click tracks for most of the other songs that we play live, except for, I think the only one we don't do is Dream Crusher, because we tried and we just have been playing that song for so long that it totally ruined like the feeling of it. Like we didn't realize there are like tempo changes and things like that, but we didn't realize how in tune we were with that song just kind of naturally together. Like there was a point where we just, all of us were like, whoa, the click is so wrong here. Like, and that's what it was on the album, but it doesn't feel right. So we were thinking about like changing it up, but then we were just like, you know what, screw it. We know this song so well, and we're just going to kind of play this one by feel. So, but everything else is to click. Yeah.
Yeah. If it works for you, then I mean, why bother, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to use them because we have some certain things with little strings and stuff that I'm not going to bring a keyboard player out on the road for, you know, a 5-second part when we could just play it real quick, you know? So, and then I like songs to transition a lot, you know, like 3 songs in a row or something. So yeah, you know, so we use it a lot for that.
Yeah.
Cool. So it sounds like you guys got it all going on.
It's just like cutting out the amps is so much better for touring. It's not even funny. Like
it's the difference between a trailer or no trailer sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think our racks only weigh like 30 pounds, and just doing this last tour, like holy fuck, not having to worry about a cab every night was the greatest thing. It's like, dude, I'm done like in under a minute, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly.
All right. So no, it's definitely awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Apex now. More, I want to know. So, few things. I know you and I discussed this when I was just up in Canada, but our listeners, all 0 of them right now, don't know this. So go through the writing process of the album, go through the prepping for the studio of the album, and then if you don't mind, walk us through the studio process itself. I know you guys did it pretty quick because you did it right after that European tour.
Yeah.
You guys were kind of in and out of that studio really quick. Yes. So obviously you were ready to rock, you know. So let's talk about that.
So we wrote for most of 2016, like that whole the beginning of 2016, and what it was is I wrote out each track. I knew it was a concept album, and I'd always wanted to do like a real. Well, Demons was a concept album, but it was a little bit more off the cuff. It was kind of like, here's the story, kind of in general. And then and then we wrote like as the songs kind of like Braden would like come up with a riff and I'd be like, ooh, yeah, that sounds like real this, like this could happen. And ooh, I could make him do this. And it was kind of like writing to the music, or like writing the story to the music a little bit. So this was the exact opposite. This time I wrote out each chapter, which was each song, and said like, okay, this is the name of the song. This is what's happening. This is how I want it to feel. This is how it should be emotionally, and how I want the listener to feel when they hear it, and what it should be telling the listener about the story. So, and then the boys kind of came up with riffs and would say like, hey, I think this is really good for Cleanse the Bloodlines. And I'd be like, oh my God, yes, that is absolutely Cleanse. Or they'd be like, hey, I like this one for, this song. And I'd be like, that's more of a this track. Like, let's be more upbeat with that one, or, kind of stuff like that. And we just kind of wrote it all together, worked through them all together, came up with ideas. And like for the matriarch or whatever, I said, I want literally the chorus to be the matriarch. Like, I just want it to be those two words with like some woeing. And Andrew was like, okay, I can work with that. And so it was really very much based on the story, which is one of the reasons why I think it ended up being a little bit more cohesive than most of our other albums, which are all kind of like all over the place, because we love death metal, we love traditional metal, we love melodic metal, we love whatever. And so we just kind of bring that into all of our music, but this one just seemed a little bit more directed and had more of a poignant sound. So, and then once every song was written, except for the last song, we didn't write Apex until the studio, because we did that with Time Stands Still, the track Time Stands Still as well. We wrote it in studio, and we were kind of like, well, we really liked the feeling of it. So I knew what it was going to be about, and I knew kind of the general, like how I wanted the song to sound. But I was like, let's just kind of do it in the studio and see how it feels and see how it comes out. So
that would give me so much anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of, yeah. It was a stupid idea. Now that I look back on it.
It worked out though.
Yeah.
It's a good yeah.
We had everything ready beforehand. We pre-produced like crazy. Andrew was in the jam spot like every night with one of us working on our parts. A lot with Scott just to like nail down the drums perfectly, because you don't have a lot of time in the studio. We booked 3 weeks with Jacob, and we said, okay, we're going to get all the tracking done in 3 weeks, and you don't want to leave with something not finished, right? So so we made sure that everything was good to go beforehand, except Apex. And then went on the tour and kind of were like finishing things up here and there, doing like I was writing lyrics while on the road and stuff too, and I was writing lyrics right up to the last minute. It was really quite horrible, but just Andrew constantly was on his laptop pretty much fixing things and being like, what about changing this part to something like this or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So, and then when we got in the studio, Jacob was like, okay, like, what do you got for me? And we were just like,
nothing.
Here are all the songs. So we had demos of all of them. And I had like really shitty vocal demos. Most of them, like, I think like all of the track names were like Awakening, shitty vocal demo, Cleanse, shitty vocal demo, like all those are the files that we sent to him. And he was like, okay, let's go. And we were like, well, like, can you give us some points? Like, is song that sucks that we should take out? And is there something, do you want to work on this? Like, we were wondering about this part, and he's like, no, I like it all. He's like, let's just go. And it was just like literally space bar, let's do it. And he was super awesome. It was very really cool. Yeah, it was. So Scott was in there. I think he did his drums in like 3 days. But we wrote Apex the night before he had to go into the studio. So that was the last song that he did, and he was kind of like, okay, I think this part would sound good like this. Like, oh, let's try, what about this? Does that work? And Jacob would be like, yep, got it. Moving on. Like, just kind of like, really, yeah. But, I mean, the song just, it turned out totally awesome. So it's really funny because it's like my favorite song on the record, but it's also like, it was stressful not having the track until the first day we were in the studio. So I don't know. Maybe it was stupid. Maybe it wasn't. But
I mean, that seems to be how it works out. I'm pretty sure Paranoid by Black Sabbath was written in the studio. And it's one of their most famous songs, if not the most famous. I don't know.
It was, wasn't it? It was like we need another for the record. It was like we need one more song. I don't know, they want one more song, and so they were just kind of like, put it out.
They're a little paranoid, right? Like,
laid it down, yeah. And Ozzy like wrote the lyrics right then and there. Yeah, it's pretty funny actually when you hear those stories.
So this is your paranoid, dude. You've done it. You made it. Good job. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so then the guitars went in, and then I went in for the last week, and I was totally freaking out because I was like, a week is not long enough. And he's like, absolutely it is. Jacob is just like the chillest dude ever. And he's like, absolutely it's long enough. You could do this. And I was like, okay. And so I did 2 songs a day. And then the last day that we were in there, we did gang vocals and a couple of bonus tracks or whatever. And
I don't even think I've heard the bonus tracks.
No, you haven't. No one has.
Oh. Is anyone ever going to?
Yes, they are.
I'll hit you up later. Don't worry.
And then just kind of had the last day for make sure everything worked out, and throwing Andrew in there on Earth and Ashes. That was done on the last day as well. I was like, hey, do you want to sing this part? Yeah, so it worked out really well, and there was a few things that I had to Skype with Jacob afterwards, kind of like just some things that I was like, oh, I thought we had a better take of that part. Like, can you find it? And stuff like that. But for the most part, it was an awesome experience. It was super
fantastic.
Rad. Yeah.
I assume it was a much better situation than what you guys were dealing with prior to Apex as far as the recording situation, because you actually had a label behind you, such, right? Like, did you guys, was it a lot easier to get sound you wanted dealing with someone like Jacob?
Well, we went to him specifically because of his sound. Like, we were like, okay, and I had actually wanted to go to him for Time Stand Still, but we just didn't have the money at the time. So we saved up our pennies, and we were like, we're going to Jacob. And we actually started talking to him like before Time Stand Still was even really.
Oh, that's awesome.
We were like, no, Jacob's next. So we're like, hey, Jacob. And we started writing, because we had started writing Time Stand Still at the end of 2013. Because we were like, okay, we're going to release it in 2014 and stuff. So we were going to be in the studio in spring 2014. And then we lost 2 members, and it kind of put a wrench into things. And but then we had a lot of the songs written, and then Napalm put it on hold. And so we didn't actually get to release it until mid 2015. And so
it's Napalm's fault.
We personally, yes, that was Napalm's fault. We personally were like done with that record, and so we were like, okay, let's get going and start writing the new album right away. And I contacted Jacob in like mid 2015 and was like, hey, see you in a year, kind of. Do you have time for us? It was really funny because I was like, oh my God, he's so amazing. He's going to have like bands lined up like 2 years in advance, and we're never going to get in there. And I was like, we're hoping to be in there in like 6 months, because we were going to try and record early 2016. But then once again, shit happens. And so, but he's like, yeah, no, like, don't worry about it. Like, he's like, give me like a few months notice. So we were like, awesome. And ended up going in there after that tour, and it was rad. So, but yeah, I love his stuff. That's why we went to him. I knew I'd been wanting to work with him for a long time, because he had done stuff like Soilwork and Dragonland and Amaranth and like so many. It was just weird. I was just like picking around on Wikipedia one day and was like, who did this freaking Living Infinite record? Like, it is so good. It is so freaking good. And so I was like, oh, Jacob Hansen. And then I was looking around at Dragonland, and I was like, Jacob Hansen. And so I went to Jacob Hansen, and then it was just like his discography was insane. So I was like, yep, this is the guy for sure on the next one.
Jacob.
So
it was probably I think it was a good idea.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, he's amazing. He's totally fantastic, and he's the reason why Apex sounds like it does. So he will be used again for sure.
Did you reamp your guitars? Or is that all, you don't know?
Yes. I'm assuming he did. Oh, I don't know, actually. He's got, like, insane stuff, so it could be that he reamped, that we did them. Is that what you do? You do digitally?
Do you know what reamping is, Brittney?
Yeah, it's like you like play it through the amp of your choice or whatever, the digital, the files, right?
Yeah. Something like that. I don't really fully understand it either. I just know it makes me sound better than I am, so yeah.
Because otherwise it's just like a digital sound, right?
Yeah. Chad, jump in here.
Well, reamping just means that you record a direct signal from the guitar and then record it through the amp. I would assume that you guys probably found tones in the studio.
Probably. I think you're right. I think we did do that. Yeah, because I remember them in the guitar room, like with like all this different stuff around them.
That sounds right to me.
All right.
Jacob is very organic in his style, hence why it's so rad.
See an organic rock star. Dang.
This is a rock star commercial. Put that away. You're gonna have to.
They're sponsoring the podcast. Didn't you know this?
Yeah. Oh my God, can you get me in? Because I would love to be sponsored by Rockstar. I drink their Rockstar fruit punch flavor like before every show.
Man, we drank their sour apple on the first.
It's like green and pink.
I don't remember. It was the first Helium Prime tour. Our bass player brought 3 fucking cases of it. It was so disgusting, but it's all we had. So.
No, I go to find like a gas station and I'll grab like the 2 for $3.
Try them out. Yeah.
Save one for the next night.
Yeah. What? I don't know. Okay, Brittney. We're about to get out of here. Chad's got to get ready for work and all that. So, but before we go, I would like you to give. Doesn't have to be what you would consider the 3 top, because that's obviously debatable. But 3 tips of advice, I guess you'd give starting bands. What to do, what not to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 1, jam a lot before you have your first show. Be tight. Even if it takes a year or whatever, have a good, strong set and be super tight when you come out there. And also be organized. Like, have merch, maybe even have a demo. Like, get your shit together before you start playing shows. And that way, when you bust out on the scene, everyone's like, holy shit, who are these guys? Damn, listen to this quality demo. And I'm saying quality, like, I don't need to spend $1 million, but also don't do it in your freaking living room. Like, save up the money.
Chad.
Save up the money and like have a gift.
Is that the other member?
Yes, it is.
Oh. Yeah.
This is our honorary member, Panda.
All right. Hello.
Accordion cat. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, like be legit right off the start and save your money, because number 2, save your money, because that's what this business is about. Unfortunately, spending money on merch, on recording, on touring, on your gear. Don't have shitty gear that you're constantly having to, figure out while you're on stage. So yeah, just save your money. Like, seriously, it sucks, but it's what gets you anywhere. And then I guess number 3 would be just work really, really hard and be patient, because like you look at some of these bands that have been around for 20 years, and just in the last 5 years are they really starting to see like super true success. So it's not an overnight thing. And despite what you may think about, like, oh, we got signed to Napalm and all of a sudden everybody knew our name. That's not the truth, and that's not the case, and it never is. So just keep working. And even when shit gets really shitty, write a super angsty album. And
once you write your fuck you album, that's when people listen.
Right, yeah. So just keep on trucking. Yeah, really, that's all there is to it. And be really professional on stage. Like, don't spin cymbals after your set. Just get your shit off stage.
Well, that's all I like to do. All right. One more question, because I've always wondered.
Mm-hmm.
Where did Unleash the Archers come from? The name.
It was horrible. We could not figure out a name. And like, seriously, finding a band name is hard. It's really hard to find one that isn't already taken. And don't pick a name that's already taken, because that's silly to have, like, I don't know, whatever. Insert metal word here, official. Insert metal word here, band. Insert metal word here, music. As your website or your Facebook page or whatever. Just like,
hey, that's our website. We had to, though, because we took it from a movie. Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. Exactly. But
you're saying you don't take it from a movie?
No. I mean, like, that's fine, but but take it from a movie. Find something unique. But we looked, like, it was 3 months probably. We had been jamming for a while together, and we had our first show in May of 2008, and it was like, I don't know, February or something, and we were like, we need to start booking shows, so we need a name for our band. And we could not come together, the five of us, and agree on anything. And if we did, it was taken. So we put together like this huge Word document. We just were like emailing each other names. And every time, I think it was Mike at the time, would take a suggestion and put it into this Word document. And so there was just names flying around everywhere. And he printed it out, and we sat down like in a little circle in our jam spot. And we brought out our pens, and we were like, all right, we're picking one of these freaking words on this page. And we got through the whole thing and still could not decide. And then out of the blue, I don't even know who said it. It was like, how about Release the Archers? And we were like, no, not release, unleash. And we all liked it. And we all agreed. And it was never spoken of again.
It fucking works, though, man, Like, Unleash the Archers. It fits you so well. Yeah, it's great. It's a great name.
At the time, that movie, I think it was it called Hero? Was out with Jet Li, where he, like, gets murdered by his emperor at the end with that cloud of arrows that just, like, he's standing against, I guess, spoiler alert. Sorry if you haven't seen the movie.
It's old enough.
Now I'll never want to see it.
No, and it's just such a rad scene. It's so rad, and it's literally like just beautiful cinematography. You know how those movies are, and that's what I think of every time I hear Unleash the Archers. So I like it.
Awesome. Well, Brittney, I thank you for your time. This was actually a lot of fun.
Woohoo!
So,